Welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast, where we share all kinds of tips, advice, and interview guests on all things innovation and leadership in modern marketing. Each episode is a conversation with inspiring people who make wonderful contributions to our knowledge in these areas and spark curiosity and ideas to pursue. Join me, Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and let's get into today's masterclass on this InnovaBuzz podcast.
One of the easiest ways for you to stand out is to provide great value to your client in terms of both the services you offer and the results that you offer. If you can use that as your, as your strength, as your point of difference, it would become really easy for people to start taking notice of you and remembering you and reaching out to you whenever they're looking to work with something.
Hi there, Innovator. It's really great to be back with another episode. I hope you've had an awesome week so far. I trust also you enjoyed my recent conversations with writing coach Amanda Turner and with James Hayes of Developmental Edge. I'm really excited today to have on the InnovaBuzz podcast as my guest, Prerna Malik. She's the co-founder of Content Bistro, where together with her team, she crafts content, copy, and social media strategies that pack a powerful punch. Prerna's superpowers are creating psychologically compelling sales-boosting copy for both product-based businesses and info products, such as eCourses, turning casual browsers into raving fans, and also crafting search engine optimized engaging articles and blogs, turning even the blandest topic into a rich and flavour-filled optimized piece of content. A quick promotional message from our sponsor, that's InnovaBuzz, where we help coaches and consultants build professional credibility, engage their target audience, and connect with their ideal client. That requires absolute clarity about who your ideal clients are and how you can help them. To help you get that clarity about your ideal client, take a look at our Marketing Master mini class, where in less than 30 minutes, you'll gain absolute clarity on your ideal client and how you can communicate with them to build and strengthen an engaging, enduring relationship. Access the Marketing Master mini class at innovabiz.co/Marketing Master. It's completely free and accessible without even giving away your email. In our discussion, Prerna talked to me about how to write copy that will connect with your ideal clients' prospects and how to start a human connection from that. She explained how she begins her writing with the end goal that you want to achieve, and we talked about that it's social media, not selling media. Without further ado, then, let's fly into the hive and get the buzz from Prerna Malik. Hi, I'm your host, Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and I'm really excited to welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast today from Gurgaon in India. I'm not sure I've pronounced that correctly. Prerna Malik, who's a certified conversion copywriter and also co-founder of Content Bistro. Welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast, Prerna. It's a real privilege to have you as my guest.
Thank you so much, Jürgen, for having me here. I am so excited to chat with you and just get to know, your audience and hopefully leave them with practical and inspiring takeaways that they can apply in their business.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Samar Awais, who was our guest on episode 249 of the InnovaBuzz podcast, suggested that we get you on and have a conversation. So big shout out to Samar.
Yeah, she's amazing. And I'm so glad that she connected us. So thank you, Samar.
All right, Prerna, now you create compelling sales-boosting copy for both product-based businesses and also for information products, which is probably what I'm more interested in, but I'm sure we've got a variety of interests listening in today. information products like eCourses,
Mm-hmm.
and you turn casual browsers, as you call them, into raving fans, which I think is a real talent to be able to do that, and also to be able to match the right people. So I'm really looking forward to digging deeper into that today. But before we start talking about all things conversion-based copy, give us a little bit of background. How did you get to where you are today? And what were some of the key moments in that journey?
Yeah, sure. So, well, we've been in business full time now. So I'm co-founder of Content Bistro. My husband is my partner in business and life. So that's a very, happy situation to be in. But we've been in business now for almost 10 years. In fact, we will be celebrating our 10th year in business in March this year. So yeah, it's
Congratulations.
like, thank you. So it's like, we've been around for dinosaur ages. But how did we get started? It's an interesting story and a long one, but I'll just kind of, condense it. So this is like around, again, 10 years ago. And I had been blogging online. Like I had a mom blog, and it was like very part-time for about a year or so. I started blogging around November 2008. My daughter was about 9 months old, and I was at home with her, and I just needed something to do. So, I started blogging. And that blog kind of evolved and, led to a few very part-time, freelance writing jobs. Like someone would read the blog post and go, okay, we've got like this small business. Would you want to blog for us? And so it was very part-time, but it was fun. And I was at home. I was able to spend time with my daughter, and so it was very nice. But then my husband got really sick with a chronic illness. Which doctors here were really struggling to diagnose. He was in a lot of pain, and they couldn't figure out why was he in pain. So like he had jaw pain and his feet were hurting. So they would like diagnose different things, like if it was jaw, they would say it's TMJ. If it was his foot, they'd say, oh, it's gout. And or rheumatoid arthritis. And he was being treated for all different things, and nothing was really helping. And it just kept getting worse. And to the point that he was on bed rest for almost a year. And
Wow.
and he was like the primary breadwinner. So he was working in corporate with American Express, and he had to take extended medical leave, and eventually he had to quit because he just couldn't go to work. He was in so much pain. So that is when we kind of started thinking, okay, what do we do? Because we had been spending our savings on medical expenses and on grocery, and our daughter had grown up and she was in play school, so sending her to play school and all of that, and we had to figure out where do we get the money from, which is when we started talking, and we were like, should we kind of explore growing the part-time freelance writing thing into a more full-time thing. And around that time, a blog reader reached out to me and was like, because I'd been blogging about his health situation as well on my blog, sharing like his, like life with chronic illness and what he's going through and all of that. And she reached out to me. She was like, I think you should get his pH levels tested. So, well, that was a very new concept to us. We didn't even know about that. No doctor here had even talked about it. So, but we looked it up. We asked one of the labs here if they ran pH tests. We did a pH test for him. It turned out his pH levels were really, really acidic. He was very acidic. His pH levels were really out of balance, and that meant we had to change our diet. So that led us down an entirely different path of changing our diet, eating better, paying more attention to the acidic alkaline levels in foods and all of those things. And it started working. He started feeling better. And that was also kind of a sign for us that we needed to step back and look and decide, do we really want to go back into the corporate race and just do what, follow like a conventional life, or do we want to take a chance with this business, turn it into a business and see what works? And we gave ourselves a year, and we thought, let's see what happens. And so that's how we kind of then started, because we literally started with zero. we only spent, I think, money on buying the domain name and the hosting from Bluehost. I still remember, and the website for our business, which at that time was called Social Media Direct, was designed pro bono by a former boss, from my advertising days when I used to work in advertising. I reached out to him and we asked him if he could design it for us pro bono because, like I said, we had no money. So
Hmm.
so we so he got his team to put that together for us, and yeah, that's how we started. And
And it
10 years
took
later,
off from
and
there.
yeah, and 10 years later, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first question, how's your husband now?
Oh, he is absolutely better. He, in fact, started responding to that, to changes in diet, almost like within months. And by the
Hmm.
end of our first year in business, he was playing tennis. And this is a guy who was not able to you know, um, wear shoes because his feet used to hurt so much. So um,
Wow.
yeah, so
Big
yeah,
change.
that
Mm.
big change. So we're like huge
Mm.
believers in eating better and just going the natural route. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's an interesting story because there were a couple of things that occurred to me while you were telling me that. First of all, that you were sharing your own personal journey. First of all, your mum life experiences on your mum blog, and then the challenges with your husband's health, and that kind of got you connected to people who said, "Could you do some writing for me?" But it
Yeah.
also connected you with that one person who gave you that critical bit of advice that led to your husband getting better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why, and I know, like social media and blogging these days is, we focus a lot on the business side of things, but I feel like the relationship side of things is where the
Mm,
real gold is. It is such a wonderful opportunity for people to form like connections with and make real friendships with people across the world and just be really involved in their lives without
mm.
having the pressure to go and meet them or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, like I said, it's called social media for a reason. It's not called sales media.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just
I
put
think
the
some
social
people
there.
kind of confuse that. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a great story, and so in a nutshell, then, what is it you do today, and why?
Yes. So along the way, we started with blogging and social media services because that is what we were being approached for, and also because that's what I knew, and we'd been doing it, and I'd been studying it, and all of that. But along the way, those blogging clients also started asking us for copywriting. This is like 3, maybe 4 years ago, 3 years, 4 years ago. So they started asking us for copywriting and specifically like sales pages and things like that. And they were like, okay,
Hmm.
you you've done the blogs, so why don't you write the sales pages or emails or whatever. So which is when I realized I need to start learning about sales copywriting, which is very different from business blogging. And and that is when we evolved into Content Bistro, where we do not just where content is a part, but copy is what we focus on. Sales and launch copy is now what we specialize in. So the reason I say I'm a certified conversion copywriter is because I was part of a small group mastermind run by Joanna Weeb of Copy Hackers. And part of the mastermind was, like we were about 15 of us in the mastermind, and we all went through a certification exercise, and 3 of us got certified at the end of it. So, yeah, so I'm one of them. And so I
Oh,
really invested in learning copywriting and practicing it, and we've like had really great results with our clients because that's at the end of the day, with copy, it all translates into how is it converting. So is it bringing in the results that you wanted it to, and if not, are you going to test it and see what's going to work, what's not going to work? So so yeah, that's how we evolved into Content Bistro and copywriting, which is now our core focus.
hmm. So how does copywriting for, say, a sales conversion sequence, if you like, differ from writing an article for a blog post?
The easiest and simplest explanation for this would be your content does the job of educating your prospect. Your copy moves them along, engages with them and empowers them to take a decision, to act on that. So your content and copy can definitely work together, but the job of your copy is to take your prospect and empower them to make a buying decision. Your content can be purely for the purposes of education or engagement, but it's your copy that needs to kind of move them along that path and get them to make a buying decision.
Okay, I see. So essentially, you might have an article that at the end of it says, okay, the next step in your journey
Mm-hmm.
is to take this action. So that
Mm-hmm.
would be the difference.
Yeah. For instance, like one of the packages or one of our services that's extremely popular with online educators is our launch copy package. So one of the add-ons in that package is our blog posts. And the reason is because you would want your content to tie in well with your copy and help your audience to kind of get like that cohesive experience they need to not just decide to invest with you, but also get to know you, like you, and trust you. So it does that job of, so content would help, add to that process and give them a chance to kind of understand why you're an expert. Give them a chance to get to know you better. And that is why we still, work with clients who hire us to write their sales pages and their emails. And if they've got like a product where we know that their audience would, where they're pitching, say, cold audience, and they would benefit from getting to know them better, a blog post package would really help. And it does. That's one of the reasons why this service is so popular, is because we're not just saying, okay, just take the sales page, just take the emails, and you're done. We're telling them, let's build a complete relationship with the readers who reach your site, with your prospects. Let's give them great content that ties in with your offer, right? Let's give them great, even social media updates for that matter, because all of this is stuff that we've done for years. I've been writing for, like I said, dinosaur years. So I've had a chance to, really test out what works, see what doesn't work, refine, optimize, and all of that. So that is a great way for you to not just say, okay, I just need sales pages and emails, but really think about your customer journey and how you want them to kind of move through that.
Yeah, and I think you said something there that you mentioned earlier when you were telling us your story. It's around building the relationships. And I think
Exactly.
if you look at customer journey and understanding, who is your customer and what's their journey, and where might one individual be in that journey compared to another individual,
Exactly.
will dictate a little bit as to how you communicate with them and what you post on social media, which, like you said, is not selling media. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so true, because this is a huge part of the entire process. Like if you're in, and that what we believe, and it just ties in really, really closely with what we believe in as business owners ourselves, is that we're in this long term. This is not like a get rich quick thing, or like a side hustle, or where you're just kind of focusing on it part time. And when I say side hustle, I don't mean that with like in a disrespectful way, but in a way that where you're not giving it your entire attention and you feel it's like just something I'm doing part time. It's, if you're in business long term and you want to build a sustainable business, you need to be in the business of building relationships. You need to be in the business of building connections. You need to be in the business of building a community, and all of that then drives conversions. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's exactly why we, for my copywriting, the framework and the process I use is called the connection conversion framework. We start with connection and we move them towards conversion. So it's not like sell, sell, sell. It's not, aggressive, pushy marketing. It's more about, like, if they get to know us today, would they think about us a week from now, a month from now, when they need that service? And And in a market where consumer attention spans are decreasing with every passing day, it's so important for you to kind of stand out. And that's what the podcast is all about, right? It's about innovation. So, it's so important for you to stand out by creating a really strong and powerful connection. And you can do that with the way you approach your copy, with the way you approach the content that you're putting out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that approach. So what's your target market then do you have a specific market that you work with?
Yep. So our audience and the audience that we work with are online educators, coaches, and creatives who have either a service or a digital program to offer to their audience. So that's who we best work with and serve. One of the things I would want to kind of highlight is that as we've built our business, we've gotten an incredible amount of service providers like us, graphic designers, coaches, consultants, copywriters as well, content creators who want to learn how to scale their business. So currently, we're actually serving two distinct audiences. One is the audience of course creators and creative entrepreneurs who have an information product or a service to sell. And the other audience is service providers like ourselves who want to grow their business without going down, say, the agency route or without having to launch a course. So they want to grow by offering like how we've been able to grow our business is by creating really powerful packages that clients love and keep coming back for and are really easy to sell as well. So we've got these two audiences that we serve and work with.
All right. What I'm curious about is, so I'm guessing that the content expertise of both of those audiences is quite varied. And what I'm curious about is when you're writing an article for someone that is doing something that's different content to what you're familiar with, how do you go about getting, first of all, the information so that the article is actually valuable knowledge, showcasing that person's know-how, but also giving valuable information to their audience? And secondly, how do you then put it in your client's voice so that it comes across as them?
Oh, that's such a good question. And that is where our process kicks in. So writing copy is not just about writing fancy words on a page. It's about writing words that your prospect is going to understand in a way that if I'm writing copy for a client, it's about writing words that their prospect is going to connect with in a way that they would have been able to say it best, right? So writing copy is not just taking like the best sounding words or, about big, just using like different formulas or things like that. That could only take you so far. So that is where our copywriting process kicks into place. So it starts by really understanding not just our client and their business, what drives it, what values do they really stand for, how do they talk in everyday life, how do they connect with their prospects, like whether it's through a podcast like this. So those are like, that's how we get to know them. And then we take it a step further and understand their audience by actually getting on calls with their, whether it's clients or students, or running surveys, like really deep dive qualitative data surveys. A lot of forum mining, looking at, where their target audience hangs out, seeing what challenges are they talking about, seeing what questions are they asking. Also, how are they communicating? What kind of words do they end up using the most? So that, forms like the bedrock of research is understanding both the audience and our client, and then using all of that research to write the copy that is going to bring them the best results.
So research is really key.
It is key. Yeah.
And the first step.
Absolutely. It is non-negotiable, and it is the first step. And the level of research differs from client to client. Some because I write for a variety of niches. So it's not just, online marketing coaches and consultants, but it's also someone who has a course on interior design, someone with a course for real estate agents, another client who has a course on natural health and wellness, which is a niche that we are particularly passionate about. Another client has a course on this was very interesting. She has a course on growing succulents. So there's a client who's got a course on for holistic health practitioners like chiropractors and massage therapists. So with every client, the research is what guides the words that go on the page.
All right. And then once you've done all that research and you've kind of got an insight into both what the information is and then also on what the clients are expecting and what sort of voice you're going to project across, how do you then go about structuring the whole funnel and the individual communication within that funnel?
It all starts with understanding what the overarching goal is, what the goal is for that piece of copy. Is it for a program that's going to be offered year round to an audience? If so, how is that audience going to find this program? Like we have detailed launch strategy sessions with clients who want us to help put their funnel together. So it all starts with understanding what is it that they want? What's the end goal of us putting this together? And then once we know that, it's easy for us to kind of map out a funnel for them, map out okay, so if we are, say, going to be targeting cold audience on Facebook and LinkedIn, we just can't bring them to our opt-in page and tell them to sign up because they don't know who we are. So a better option would be to have blog posts or, even really well-written value-based social media posts that help them to engage with us with a call to action in there to maybe sign up for our opt-in or our lead magnet, get them into the funnel, then nurture them, and then, bring them to the sale mechanism, whether it's like a webinar or it's a series of videos or whatever. So understanding what the goal is what helps us put the entire funnel together.
Yeah, I like that. Beginning with the end in mind and working backwards. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, and then I'm thinking connecting that up with the ideal client's journey.
Yeah, it makes sense because then you meet them where they are, right? And you give them what they want without being, again, you don't push them towards the sale. You actually are just helping them move along to the next step. You're not just, saying, okay, this is my stuff, buy from me. That's not going to work. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You've got to educate them about their problem. And I like and we had a guest on several episodes ago. I can't remember the exact number, but it was George Bryant. And he says, what every communication that you have with your audience is to guide them on the next step of their journey, whether they give you their credit card or not.
Exactly. Because and here's what we've realized, they may not give you their credit card instantly, but if you make a really solid impression and forge that connection with them, they are bound to think of you and come back to you. And we've seen that happen with so many clients because we collect data on why are you buying, what was going on in your life and you decided to choose this particular course or whatever, as part of the post-purchase survey. And a lot of them would say, so when I looked at it initially, I did not have the budget for it, but then I realized that I do need it and I wanted to kind of save up for it and come back to it. So it's, even in an age of diminishing attention spans, people do pay attention when they want to and when you ask for that attention the right way.
Yeah. And also if you have the information or the solution to their problem.
Absolutely. And that is where copy comes in, right? Copy helps them to see that you get what their problem is and you do have the solution for it.
That's great. And so thinking back to your time as a mum blogger, I imagine that was a key lesson that you took out of that, right? Because your audience were young mums in a similar situation to you, and so they're reading the content saying, well, she gets us, because she's experiencing the same things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was probably my first lesson in audience research and understanding, that people kind of connect with content that relates to them. So you need to really understand who you're speaking to before you start speaking to them.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Now, one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and you mentioned, earlier about social media and not selling media, and in this day and age of automation and where we have these CRM systems that can kind of fire off one of these email sequences with decision gates and, various sort of avenues firing off automatically in this day and age, I think somewhere along the line we've lost some of that human element in the relationship. So, what's your view on that, and how do you? And I guess I'm particularly interested because I think I know what the view is. I'm particularly interested in how do you take advantage of the technology in a way that still builds those human connections and relationships.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, Jürgen. I'm really glad you brought that up. So I love automation as a conversion copywriter. I love automation. I love personalization, segmentation, all the tools that helps me to understand, like I said, where our prospects are at different levels of their journey. How can we better tailor the experience that they are going to get from, whether it's from our website, whether it's from our email communication. So automation definitely is great and has huge advantages, but at the same time, we don't have to choose between automation and human connection. It doesn't have to be either or. We can have both. We can use our email systems like whatever you're using, like ConvertKit, Infusionsoft, or ActiveCampaign, and still build in that human connection. The easiest way to do that is for encourage people to reply to you and then reply back to them. Don't just encourage them to reply to you and then let it go down the wormhole of nothingness. But when they reply to you, acknowledge that reply like a human would. So it's that easy to build that connection. Another very simple way for you to do that would be to tie in both two automation platforms together and build that connection. Like, say, for instance, you're sending people an email, ask them to tag you on maybe Instagram or in their Instagram stories, and share their greatest takeaway from that email. So it's, and then again, acknowledge that tag, reply to it and appreciate it. Maybe send them send them a voice message thanking them for sharing it. It's a very simple way to add like a human touch to what would otherwise be a very automated interaction. So it's really easy if you start thinking about how do you want to kind of build in those little things where you can, kind of encourage people to get to know you better. One of the things that we did, and we are going to be doing a lot more of this year, is getting on calls like these, like Zoom calls, or with people on our list. So we just send out an email saying we're looking like we just want to chat with you, like maybe 5-10 of you. So here's a link to our calendar. Book a call. We'll bounce some questions off you. You can ask us questions to help grow your business. It's just going to be like a really informal chat. And we were delighted with the response. So it was such a wonderful way to put faces to names that you see on your list, or maybe don't even see, because, I mean, let's face it, lists grow big. And after a point, you're not like tracking who's signing up to your list. But it's a really great way for you to kind of create that personal connection. So it's really simple to include human connection and make it work with the automations that are needed in today's day and age.
Yeah. There's some wonderful tips there, and I particularly like the using a Zoom call, for example, to reach out to your list, and that's. I'm guessing that gives you a lot of information too about things that you can then write about and understanding your audience better.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful insights, and also like a really great way for you to kind of understand that the work that you're putting out there is making an impact, because sometimes you don't know whether, people are really reading your
Mm.
blogs or whether they're even listening to your podcast episodes. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of that validation that an entrepreneur often needs, that it is making a difference.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. It's really good. And also, if people come back and say, "I wish you'd do more of this and less of that,"
Exactly.
that's really valuable feedback.
Yes. In fact, that
Mm.
is a question that we did ask in the calls that we did, is that what is it that, one thing that you feel we should be doing less of, or, what is one thing that you feel that we should be doing more of? And we got really great insights for that as well. So it's, most importantly, like the calls that we had, we now feel like we're friends.
Mm.
You're no longer just a subscriber on an email list. You're someone we know and we can see and talk to. So you automatically move to the next level of, your relationship. You become friends now. So that's really nice as well.
Mm. Yeah, great advice. All right. So, I guess one more question before we move on to the buzz, and that's around digital courses. So, what kind of launch sequence do you look at for a digital course, and is it the same for different courses with different information?
No, it's not the same for different courses with different information. We start with what's the end in mind. What is it that we're looking at accomplishing? What is it that, and also a lot of other logistical questions going to play. Is it like the first time this course is being launched by this course creator? Do they have access to, do they have like an established audience? And have they done, like, is there a wait list for the course? Have they been building up, you know, the audience to get excited about it, or are we just starting cold and with nothing? So a lot of those questions go into deciding what the launch sequence and what the launch strategy on the whole should look like. But to give you an example, let's say someone's starting with an audience of a few thousand subscribers, engaged um, subscribers who open up their emails, who respond to them, who interact with them. And it's the first time they're launching a course. A great strategy would be to probably, use, especially if their audience is more excited at the idea of attending like master classes and is more learns better with, in a video setting where
Mhm.
you're giving notes instead of like a more written setting. So they're more, so maybe doing like a masterclass as your, or a webinar as your launch mechanism, and then opening card up would, and then having like a post webinar sales sequence segmented for webinar attendees, non-buyers, webinar non-attendees, but still interested in your program. And then tailoring your email sequence towards those segments would be a really good place to start for someone who's got an audience and someone who's got an audience that's engaged and is maybe launching the course the first time. But like I said, it's definitely not a one size fits all solution. There's
Mm.
no, unless you know more about what are we starting with, who are we talking to, what is the offer, all of these things go into play before I could say, okay, this would be a launch strategy that will work.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is fascinating. I could go on talking copy and launching products and building audiences and social media for ages, but I'm just
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at the time and conscious of demands on your time as well. So I think it's a good point to move to the buzz, which is our innovation round, and it's designed to help our audience, who are primarily leaders and innovators in their field, with some tips from your experience. So I've
Mhm.
got 5 questions, and hopefully you'll give us some really insightful answers today that will inspire our listener to go and do something awesome as a result.
Okay.
So, so number one, what do you think anyone needs to do to be more innovative?
I would say trust your gut. It's very easy online to get swayed by shiny object syndrome and by what everybody else is doing, but you need to start believing in yourself. You have to believe in yourself and you have to take that risk. I mean, our entire business is founded on believing in ourselves and taking that risk. We had nothing to
Mm.
lose. We did have everything to lose, but we also felt like, if we don't do this, we'd never know the answer. So just kind of, learn to just sit with what you feel is right. You would always have someone or the other, like, giving you what is what's worked for them. And that may be great for them, but you need to figure out what's going to work for you, and you need to trust your gut and lean into that. That's worked for us over the years as well. So we're like huge believers of that.
Great advice. And you mentioned the shiny object syndrome, and I think that's the danger in the amount of information that we all have available to us, is that kind of we get excited by something and then we drop it and get excited by the next thing, and don't have the perseverance to actually see something through.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I see it all the time. And I've been, I've fallen prey to it. I've been guilty of that myself. And it's often taking a conversation with my husband and business partner. And then I kind of realize, okay, yeah, I'm just, going down that rabbit hole called shiny objects. So let me just back away slowly and focus on my path.
Yeah. All right. Now, what's the best thing you've done to develop new ideas?
I just shared that with you, talking to your audience, listening to your audience. That is so important, whether it's through your social media conversations, whether it's through in-person, like virtual conversations, or if you have access to we live in India, so we don't have, and our audience is mainly international. We work with clients in the US, Australia, and Canada. And our readers, like for our Content Bistro blog, are also mainly based overseas. So it's not very easy for us to organize in-person meetups. But if you have access to being able to do that, maybe organize an in-person meetup, but just start listening to your audience, listen to what they want. Doing that has helped us not only create some really great, very profitable services for the business, but also has led to us creating programs. And in fact, our latest the latest program that we launched is Momentum Mise en Place, which we sold out, was based on listening to our audience. So that's the best thing you could do, is pay attention. Once you come up with an idea that you believe in, like it just kind of builds on itself. Like I said, trust your gut, right? So once you come up with an idea that you feel your audience needs, the next thing would be listening to them. Yeah, check with them, like get that validated by them, right? So.
Yeah, I love that. I particularly love when people do, and we talked a little bit about courses. A lot of people I see we've spent hours and hours and hours, days and weeks creating this course. It might be 20 videos and, quite complex course. And now we're ready to launch. And I say, well, why didn't you launch before you did all the work? And because then you'll see whether anybody actually wants it.
And, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
So one way of checking in to see what's needed. All right. Now, do you have a favorite resource that you use a lot?
Lately, it's Notion.
I love Notion.
Oh, it's so good. We've used it to move all our processes and systems over to it, and we're gradually, our team is kind of building more processes and systems. We're using it for SOPs and all of that, as well as tracking all our client projects in there instead of Asana or Basecamp. And just love it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Notion. It's wonderful. We've got all our processes and procedures in there, and yes, we've got some of the client projects in there. We haven't moved off Asana completely yet, but I can see that might happen one day too.
Yeah.
All right, now what's the best way to keep a client on track?
Good question. We work with a lot of clients. We've had the honor of actually working with a lot of well-known names in the industry and influencers. So one of the things that we've realized is that the best way to keep a client or a project on track is to take ownership of communication. So our team has knows that when we send out a request because research is a big part of this, so we do rely on the client to send in a lot of information to us as well. So our team knows if they haven't heard from a client in, say, 48 hours, to check with them, because the fact is, like I said, clients get really busy as well, especially if you're working with clients with big teams, with multiple products, projects, and all of those things going on. They do get busy, things do fall through the cracks, and that's okay. So taking ownership of communication goes a long way in making the whole process really easy for you. The other thing I would probably add, I know you said what's the one thing, but I would also say is setting boundaries and expectations, starting with, when you sign on the client, let them know what you expect. And you don't have to be aggressive about it, but it can, they just need to know that, okay, you would want to hear from them and say, like, feedback, like in my case, copy feedback. I let them know feedback, if you can give it to me in 24 to 48 hours, it will help me ensure that we can move along with the edits and get the project completed on time. So if we don't hear from them, then our assistant or our VA reaches out to them and it's like, okay, would you need more time? Because then we can move the timeline accordingly. So they know that the ball is in their court, and then they can take responsibility for that. So it's really important to take ownership and also set boundaries.
Yeah, I love that. And I think setting boundaries and setting expectations is if you do that with communication, good communication, then I think that's kind of almost inherent in the good communication.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, now what's the number one thing anyone can do to differentiate themselves?
All right, this is also like one of my favorite questions. Again, it ties into what we believe in and what we've kind of lived with our business, is to not let your perceived limitations hold you back. Don't let, for instance, in our case, we were starting with literally zero. We did not know anybody in the industry. We live in India. English is not my first language. It's a second language. So like language, location, list size, like I always say, don't let language, location, or list size determine your growth. You cannot let, I'm not in the US, or I'm not in Australia, or I'm not in Canada, so I don't know how I'd be able to work with people over there. Until you try, you would never know. That's the beauty of the internet. It just opens up this world to you. So really, with Google on one side and YouTube on the other, you really have
that's right. Yeah.
no excuse for not making it happen. So
yes, geography really isn't an issue, is it?
Exactly. So I would say one of the best ways for you to differentiate yourself is to not let your perceived limitations hold you back, and to actually turn those limitations into a point of difference for yourself. Like everybody knows that we live in India and we work with a global clientele, and that's become our USP. So that's, I think, super important for you to kind of own that, and not let what you feel maybe a limitation kind of hold you back.
Yeah, great advice. And just taking that example, living in India, I mean, if you turn that around and say, well, yes, we're in India and most of our clients are somewhere else and we're a long way away. But if you turn that around and say, well, what could be good about that? And to me, there's immediately a few things, and one of them would be, well, the time zone is such that if, for example, somebody in the US says, well, can you write an article for me for this? And they make that request, well, your work time is perhaps, 10 or 12 hours different. So you can actually spend an 8-hour workday on that request and have it back to them before they start work the next day, so that you're able to actually turn it around a lot quicker. So that's just one example of saying, well, how could being in India actually be an advantage?
Exactly. And also, I feel, in fact, that's one of the things that people love about our VIP days. We book clients in for like who have, who don't want to wait. We get booked like weeks in advance, generally, like about 4 weeks, 6 weeks, sometimes even more in advance. But sometimes there are clients who want copy done fast and they don't want to, like wait 8 weeks. So we ask them to book in a VIP day. And what they love about it is that while they're sleeping, I'm getting their copy done. So when they wake up, in fact, one client said it's like Christmas morning for me. So I wake up and the copy's there, and it just feels really exciting to them. Yeah, that is definitely one advantage. There are a lot of other advantages. The reason I say don't let language, location, or size hold you back is because you can always develop the skills you need for the job. You can always develop that. So there is, like I said, copywriting may be considered like a really tough skill to master, especially if quote unquote English is not your second language, but like I said, it's if you put your mind to it, you could totally do it. So it just kind of boils down to what is it that you're passionate about, and then don't let anything else stand in your way. So that's, I think, super important for people to remember, because we've seen our share of pretty much everything that could go wrong, from chronic illness to location to being literally nobody online. We weren't in big ticket masterminds at that time. We didn't have the money to get a shiny branded photo website done. It was, but you can still make it work. And we've been able to grow our business consistently, 20%, 30% year on year. And that's what we believe. We're huge believers in incremental growth. So I don't see why you should let anything kind of hold you back.
Yeah. Wonderful advice. And you're a shining example of that.
Thank you.
All right. Now, you mentioned a couple of times their team. So do you have, how big is your team, and are they all with you there in India, or do you have them working from different locations?
Yeah, it's all virtual. We have a small but mighty team, is how we like to call it. We have our editor is pretty much full time for us. She works from Canada. We have an in-house graphic designer who does all our design, for our sales pages, our webinars, slides, the PDFs and all of that. She works from India. We have a virtual assistant as well, who handles a lot of the admin, research, tech side. And then we have a tech support team that are husband-wife duo. They work from Australia. They've been on retainer for us for years now. So they just ensure that the site is running smoothly. And if there are any glitches or if it goes down, we're not kind of scrambling to find out. We reach out to them, and they figure out all the techie stuff that I have no idea what they're saying. Talking about. Yeah. So we have them on retainer. Then we obviously have a bookkeeper as well. So it's not a huge team. I do all the writing. My husband is the CFO and the COO for the business, so he handles all the finances, the HR, and the people management, and all of that, and as well as the marketing and strategy side. And he's also, because he also does all our pricing and our revenue forecasting and profit optimization. Those are the things that he focuses on. He also handles teaching that side of things in our program, Profits and Tap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a lean and meat, small and mighty.
Lean and meat. Yeah. Small and mighty. I like that. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Prerna. This has been really fabulous. Now, where can people find out a little bit more about you and about the Content Bistro, and also maybe even get in touch and say thank you for what you've shared with us today?
I would love for you all to, again, follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Content Bistro. Just search for us. We're Content Bistro. See, I'm sure you're going to put the links in the show notes. Yep. But just tag us, let us know, let me know what did you like the most, or feel free to reach out. Connect with me on Facebook, send me a friend request. I'm always happy to connect with you there. But otherwise, our website would be the best place. That's contentbistro.com. So would love to hear from you either on Facebook or Instagram, or just get into our email inbox. We're always happy to chat with you.
Yeah. Okay, and as Prerna said, we will have the links on the show notes so that you can click straight through. So what piece of advice, what sort of big piece of advice would you like to leave our listener in regard to being a leader in their field and a leader in innovation?
I would say provide great value, always. At the risk of sounding maybe cliched as well, you need, that's one of the easiest ways for you to stand out. As a copywriter, copywriting is extremely, crowded. It's an extremely crowded niche. For those of you who didn't know that, it's quite, you have copywriters, a lot of copywriters all over. But one of the easiest ways for you to stand out is to provide great value to your client in terms of both the services you offer and the results that you offer. If you can use that as your as your strength, as your point of difference, it would become really easy for people to start taking notice of you and remembering you and reaching out to you whenever they're looking to book with something.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I love to provide great value always. I always tell people, always provide exceptional value is one of the things I say a lot. And it's like if I'm doesn't matter what I'm talking about, if I'm giving here's the 5 things you need to do this thing, whether it might be about podcasting or whether it might be a marketing program, that's always in there as one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a non-negotiable. And again, it's one of those things you need to kind of sit with and dig deeper and see, okay, how can I do this? I mean, don't just it's not a great Instagram meme to that's one thing. You don't just say provide great value and just forget about it. You need to sit with it and think about it and probably spend some time writing out how is it that your business is going to provide great value. So that's that. But you're absolutely right. It's something that would help you stand out in whatever you do.
Yeah. Great. Well, finally, Prerna, who would you like me to chat with on a future InnovaBuzz podcast and why?
Well, I do have a couple of names for you, and they're all, doing really great things. Iman Zabi is another great copywriter who's doing really great.
We've actually got a session scheduled with Iman, so she's coming on soon.
Awesome. The other one is Justin Blackman. He's doing really great work in the field of brand voice guides, which I feel is such a needed component for any business who wants to stand out and innovate. And he's actually got a very innovative way of looking at it as well. So Justin Blackman would be a really great fit for the podcast.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Prerna. So we'll reach out to Justin, and as I say, we already have Iman scheduled in. I got a feeling it might be next week as we're recording this now,
awesome.
But I'll have to check on that. But yeah, if as you listen to this right now, stay tuned because Iman will definitely be on shortly. So thanks, Prerna. This has been fabulous. Thanks for sharing your time and your insight so generously with us. I've really enjoyed this today and learnt a lot about your approach to copywriting and how you structure all the different things and how you focus on the audience. So it's really wonderful. I appreciate all that you're doing and all the best for the future, and let's keep in touch.
Thanks so much, Jürgen. I look forward to staying in touch too. And this was very, very exciting. I can go on for this absolutely for hours. So I'm glad we have a time limit here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks, Prerna. I hope you enjoyed that delightful and truly valuable conversation with Prerna and took something away from her episode. I really admire her ability to take the structure of her writing process and apply it across a very wide range of topics to deliver the same outstanding results for her clients. And I hope that looking at that overall structure can give you some tips for whatever work you're doing. Of course, I'd love to know what you took away from Prerna's episode, so leave a comment below the blog post, which can be found at innovabiz.co/Prerna Malik. That is PRERNAMALIK, all lowercase, all one word, innovabiz.co/Prerna Malik. You'll also find contact information for getting in touch with Prerna there, as well as links to her Content Bistro website, her social media pages, and the other resources we spoke about in our conversation. Prerna suggested we have a conversation with brand strategist Saoirse McKenzie, and also with Prerna's fellow copywriter Christina Torres on future InnovaBuzz podcast episodes. So Saoirse and Christina, keep an eye on your inbox for an invitation from us to the InnovaBuzz podcast courtesy of Prerna Malik. Remember to check out our Marketing Master mini class at innovabiz.co/Marketing Master. It's completely free and accessible without even giving away your email. But most importantly, it will enable you in less than 30 minutes to gain absolute clarity about who your ideal client is and how you can communicate with them to build and strengthen an engaging, enduring relationship. And if you'd like our help to go even deeper into marketing mastery, or our help with producing your very own podcast, even launching your very own podcast if you don't yet have one, then send me an email to jurgen@innovabiz.co and we can set up a quick call to have a short conversation and find out whether we're a good fit for one another. Tune in again to the next episodes of the InnovaBuzz podcast, where we've got even more fantastic guests lined up, including Matt Johnson of Pursuing Results and Christina Canters of the C Method. Stay connected with us by subscribing to the InnovaBuzz podcast at innovabuzz.com/subscribe. innovabuzz.com/subscribe. Make sure you never miss another episode. It would also mean a lot to me if you leave us a review, because what you think matters. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions, or questions you have, so go ahead and share them in the comments below the blog post for this episode. Until next time, I'm Jurgen Strauss from InnovaBizz. Remember, be awesome and keep innovating.